Hey guys, welcome to Little Boy Customs. Today we're going to be cutting the firewall and floorboard out of this F100 cab sitting behind me and hopefully mounting the cab to the donor car today. Alright guys, as you might be able to see, I have gotten the firewall cut out. The only thing I did was I followed the seams, the natural seams of the truck, and cut on the outside of those all the way around. Now I am going to turn the truck onto its backside, pretty much rear window face down. May have to take this window out in order to do that. I don't know yet. And then I'm going to start cutting on the floorboard. Alright guys, as you can see, we've gotten the firewall and the floorboard cut out of this truck. I did leave a little extra in order for me to trim up a little bit because I'm not exactly sure how this cab's going to fit onto this car. But anyway, we got it done. Went through a heck of a lot of Sawzall blades, which I really wasn't expecting, but there was quite a bit of dirt inside of this thing, so maybe that had something to do with it. I'm not really sure. Anyway, maybe I should have used a plasma cutter on this thing and got it done. Maybe it'd have been a little easier. I don't know. So what we got here is a 2001 Mercury Grand Marquis that I have already took huge weight reduction off of. Still got some more cutting to do in it. Got this car off Copar. I've had it for quite some time now. I did not film me taking this car apart or cutting it up, mainly because I did this long before I was going to do a YouTube channel. And so pretty much what I did do is obviously cut the roof off at the B and C pillars, cut across the top here. Then I took the windshield out of this car. I cut at the bottom of the B pillar. Took the doors off. Took all the interior out. I cut around in this area where the rear was, and then just followed the seam seal that goes around the firewalls. Goes around the rear tire tubs. I did take the tires off in order to do that cut there, just to make sure that I didn't puncture a tire or anything like that. I was also a little concerned on this side because there is some hose wiring and that kind of stuff that runs to the gas tank. But I fortunately didn't cut any of that. None of it came into contact. I am going to keep this part here. That way the gas tank can still be attached and mounted. I don't have to remount it. I did cut the trunk out. I made sure to stay on this side. This is one of the mounting brackets that holds the body of the car to the frame, so I made sure to cut on this side of it so I could use that mounting bracket. And then there is going to be another one somewhere in this area here, and so I cut on this side of it. That way I could leave all this area here to make sure that the gas tank was still attached, because I'm not sure I'm going to change too much about that. Not exactly sure whether I'm going to leave the hump in the car truck bed, or if I'm going to actually raise the truck bed floor so it looks flush. Tell me what you think I should do in the comments below. And then of course, right where that hump is right there, we're going to cut on that side of it, and take all this section here out. That way we don't need it. I've seen online some of the other guys that were doing this, and this is my first time to do this myself. So they've been cutting somewhere in here and moving this section forward in order for this here to be on the back side of the cab. That way they can mount the cab to it. That's kind of my plan also. I just don't know exactly where I'm cutting at yet. Not without placing the cab on there and kind of getting some measurements and that kind of stuff. So the next thing that we're going to do on this particular build today is we're going to probably drop this dash here completely out of the way. That way I can cut the A-pillar off and get a nice level flush area here for the cab to set on. As you can see, when I took this windshield out, there is tons of glass everywhere, so I'm probably going to clean all that up, make sure I don't cut myself. And I know that down here at the door sill area, this section here is going to have to be cut out. I just don't know exactly how much yet. Again, I'm planning on placing the cab up there and kind of getting some measurements off of all that to figure out where I do need to cut, where I don't need to cut, that kind of stuff. I'm a little concerned about this area in here being too wide for the cab to actually get on, so I'm probably going to have to cut some of that back in order to get the cab on. But anyway, that's where we're at right now, and let's get busy. All right. So we've gotten the dash, not exactly taken out, but we at least got this nice little gap here. So the dash, this part of the dash was right here on this seam. We've pulled the dash back. I think that's going to give me enough room to make my cuts right here without cutting into the dash, and then also do some welding without burning the dash pad. So, wasn't too bad taking it out. Alright guys, so we got the A-pillars cut, dash drop, need to put it back up in position, possibly, and we got this back area here cut off, that I don't really need. So, I was saying earlier that the reason why I was keeping this back half here is because there was mounts up here, and if you can see them, there they are. There's one, the other one's right through that wiring right over there. And so this piece here is exactly what the gas tank is actually mounted to and hanging on to. So if you do take this section out, you're going to have to find a new way to mount the gas tank. A lot of guys are using the Mustang gas tank and rebuilding the frame back here in the back, or they're just building a frame for this gas tank and remounting it back in here. I really don't want to do either one of those two things, mainly because this is a budget build. So because of that, I'm just going to leave it and either build a hump in the bed or raise the floor in the bed to be flush. Haven't really made up my mind on that part yet. It would have to be raised quite a bit though, if you see the way the tires are setting. Of course, this being a Grand Marquis, this particular model has airbags in the back of it. You have options there. You can either do a spring kit and take those airbags out. In my case, I'm probably just going to leave them in there. doesn't really bother me that much that it has bags on it right now. I know later on in the future when they go out, maybe I'll have to change them out, but anyway, we'll get to that when that day comes. This little section right here, while I was cutting it, so if you've never done one of these before, it actually has a inner housing, outer housing, inner housing. This part here is pretty difficult to cut through with the Sawzall. We did get it done. On this particular model here, which is an 01, it has lines running. I knew that ahead of time, so in order to keep from running over any of those two things, over there is fuel side. You may have seen in the time-lapse video where I put a light underneath the car body. That way the light would shine through as I was cutting, and I could kind of see what was going on, that kind of stuff. There's going to be two brackets right here. One on this side, one on the passenger side. So you have to cut a little deeper on those two areas right there. But other than that, there's also a bracket right there above the drive shaft. So you have to cut a little bit deeper right there. A little slower cutting, but we got it done. So let's move on. Alright guys, so as you can see, I have started lowering this truck cab down on top of the car, and I haven't cut a whole lot on the car because I wanted to take measurements and all that kind of stuff, but I thought this might be one of those things that you'd like to actually see more close-ups of, and what kind of problems I'm running into by putting the cab onto the car, and where I think I'm going to need to cut and that kind of stuff. So as you can see, this is the A-pillar right here. This is the truck. Of course you can tell that by all the rust that is going on there. But as you can see, it's clearing on the back side, no problem. But the front side of the A-pillar is where it's starting to hang up at. So I've seen on other YouTube channels, Nathan's Garage, he's a great one to follow. He's about 2 years ago, he did this exact same project. He's probably one of the first ones out there to do it and put it on YouTube. But in his episode, he states that he cuts along this area here and kind of just follows a line straight back and cuts off. And then he also cuts right in here somewhere in order to cut that section off. What I noticed while I was cutting this back here, and I will show you that right over here, is if you cut, this is that part that sticks out that has the door seal that the door rests on. If you cut along this seam here, if you notice, you got lots of flat, which Nathan states the same thing in his video. But anyway, I think I'm going to cut mine along this seam here in order to have this flat so that it'll be easier to weld onto. Alright guys, so as you can see, I did not get the cab onto the donor car. We are so very, very, very close. But having some issues with my plasma machine, and I'm really tired of the Sawzall. So I am going to go to the hardware store, get some stuff for the plasma machine that I have, and stay tuned for the next video. We'll get this cab put onto this donor car in the next video for sure. Make sure you hit the subscribe button at the bottom if you like what you saw. Give me a thumbs up. I need all the help I can get. And hit the bell notification in order to be notified of all future videos. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.